the statement passes as plain that men are aggressive, that is true, you get. It's a yes and no for me. But if the statement was men are expected to be aggressive, it is. It is true. Men should be expected to be aggressive. And if you're not aggressive, someone is going to teach you. If you're lucky and no one teaches you, life itself will teach you to be aggressive.
Men cannot be faithful, it has been said. Do you agree or disagree?
Men cannot be faithful. Charles.
That's relative. What's the definition of faithfulness, or in my understanding?
You decide a context and we should.
I think faithfulness is a function of a number of things. This is how I see it. It's a function of your belief system or your moral values as a person. It's a function of the health status of your relationship with whoever is in question. In this case, I'm thinking your spouse, your wife. It's a function of a number of things. I mean, it's like asking, or it's like saying, all born-again Christians cannot lie. On what grounds does that argument stand? So, does your lying make you a non-Christian? You get where I'm coming from. So anyway, I think the long and short is that it really depends, because where you draw the line is it really kind of comes down to a couple of things, if I may put it that way. Some men may really want to be faithful, but because of some of those things that I touched on, akajja akasambi naitaona harumba.
So, are you saying that men want to be faithful?
I think
As
humans.
opposed to.
I think humans want to be faithful. Every proper human.
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, like for real. Everyone that has a proper head seated on top of their shoulders will want to do good and well.
Okay.
But sometimes, for reasons that may be unique to the culprit, things may go south for whatever reason.
Okay.
And just to tie it off, if you kind of flip the coin, you could literally have the same conversation or argument, for that matter, concerning the other gender. I'll leave it there for now.
Actually, for me, straightforward, when you say men cannot be faithful, it's a no for me. That statement is very bold. Yeah? Like, men cannot, like the word cannot. You get, men can be faithful. But the reason why they are not faithful, and I'm going to refer to faithfulness in about three angles. There is faithfulness, the common faithfulness, that eventually made it in the ABC slogan. Abstain, Vismania, be faithful, use a condom, whatever. So that bit of faithfulness is so common on the streets. Every time they are demanding a man to be faithful, they actually...
Those are the standards by which they...
So they want you to be faithful in a relationship. So there's a level, there's a dimension of faithfulness in a relationship, in a marriage. Then there's a dimension of faithfulness in real life, in good habits. But I think this statement is of an origin, is of a relationship setting kind of origin.
Yes, definitely.
So I feel like anyone who comes to a conclusion that men cannot be faithful is they are coming from a place of how many men have they been with. You know, you can be unfortunate in life and you're surrounded by a batch of unfaithful human beings that you just go to a conclusion like men cannot be faithful. So depending on the circumstances around you, if you're kind of a person who has had repetitive encounters of men betraying you, men breaking your heart, men doing stuff that you never expected, then you're right to say that men cannot be faithful. But from a very honest place, men can actually be faithful. It is the reason why we have but. It's just because of the circumstances that are in there, you know.
And Moses, to just sort of add my thoughts to that. Speaking of circumstances and speaking of faithfulness, I think sometimes we miss the mark when we sort of get into the generalization of all men are trash or all men are whatever it is, and we deny ourselves the opportunity of understanding the place from which a given man is coming. Because where you're coming from, as you spoke, I think yesterday I was pondering on something interesting. DNA. And a random thought just came to me, and I was like, you know what? I think, I don't know how true this is, but this is what was going on in my head. I was like, I think this thing called DNA has got a way that it's like capturing an image with a camera, taking a shot, freezing a moment. So then what was happening in my head was, I was thinking, so is it likely that if somebody if somebody was given to infidelity, if somebody was a thief, or whatever vice they may have been given to, that every experience they had of that thing was like moments being frozen in real time and imprinted into their DNA, such that at a stage T later, there would literally be a transfer of sorts. Because what I am, the seed that I beget, literally is going to be a direct extension of what I am. Which, to bring it back to the conversation of faithfulness, clearly paints for us a picture of how deeply entrenched the thing called faithfulness really is, or unfaithfulness for that matter. It is so entrenched in so many things, but chief among which, and we could argue about this, chief among which is the imprint, the strand of your DNA. Like I
So
really
there's
think
a part of the male DNA that is unfaithful.
no, not in that context, OJ.
A genetic disorder.
One of the thoughts that's run through my head as both of you were talking is that if I take away the word relationship, the context of relationship, and I leave the word man, I find that men commit to stuff. I actually had a conversation with someone very quickly when the whole DNA saga was blowing up so much. And I said that, you see the men who, like the guy who lost weight because they said his kid was not his kid. I think they retracted eventually. But my prediction was, in 2 years, go find him. He will be looking after that child, knowing that the child is not his. Because men commit. You know, and there's, for all the things they say about men, I have seen men commit. Like, he will commit to a task and see it through. It's one of those beautiful characteristics that I see in men. I've seen players commit to not be players anymore. And they have succeeded. But I think also maybe one of the reasons they've succeeded is the people they are with. Trust them. Like, they know this person. They know their history. You know? But I think they help them through it. I don't know. I'm not the person they're married to, so...